Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices. My name is Oliver Riera, and this is Dr. Kyle Roth. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Why don't you tell everybody what you do?
Well, I am a dentist first and foremost. I was the founder of Carolina Dental Arts in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I also, as a beginner business, on the side, I was a dental broker. So when dentists want to retire, they want to sell their book of business. Yeah. I was the person that was the matchmaker between that old guy or girl selling their practice and finding somebody new to take over. So I've been doing that, and the amount of time I'm spending in dentistry has gone way down. In fact, I'm not working on patients anymore. So most of what I'm doing right now is growing the brokerage business, and I'm having a lot of fun with that because I can work from anywhere in the world.
Right. And I honestly, like, before you, I've actually never heard of somebody who specifically is in that niche,
It's
right?
Total niche business. It's small. There are some big players though, so I've got some really strong competition. So been having fun with that. And
Okay. So why don't we start from the top, man? Where are you from?
I'm from upstate New York, a little town called Rouse's Point, New York. Population 2,200. Oh man. It's actually 27 miles from Montreal, Canada.
Okay.
So we're right on the border. My hometown, I could actually see the lights of Montreal bouncing off the clouds and stuff. And it was a very cool place to grow up, actually. Cold place, not just a cool place, but
I mean, I
it was
think
freezing.
The furthest I've been was like Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
And so and I went during like the snow period and stuff like that.
Right. So this is kind of like in the winter, it's kind of like Buffalo. We get a lot of snow, but it's about 10 degrees colder almost on average. So it's freezing, and the wind howls there. Yeah. It's right off of Lake Champlain, New York. So
gotcha. Yeah, I went to Niagara Falls during that winter time.
Oh, did you?
Man,
that was brutal,
isn't it? Dude. It's like the water just hitting my face. I'm like, oh.
It hurts.
It hurts, man.
It physically hurts.
I saw people walking with no mask, and they were just like in pain. You know? Did you go up to Canada a lot?
All the time. Yeah. Yes, it's. Because of, where I live, there was just not a whole lot to do. It's a very rural, a lot of farm communities around there. Gotcha. So if you wanted some action, you would sneak off to Montreal. Sometimes we'd sneak there. We'd sneak into a different country, a city with 3 million people. We'd sneak there in high school, and our parents never knew. And it was fantastic.
Wow. You never hear of that.
Yeah, not anymore. It's a little bit harder to sneak into a different country as a minor now. And get away with it. But
what was that, like through the woods you went through or something like that?
Oh no! But back then it was wide open. It's a lot of my relatives worked for the Canadian Customs and for the U.S. Customs. So I just go, hey, they go, oh no, where are you going tonight? And we say we're going up to Montreal to find some pretty Canadian girls and drink some really good Canadian beer. So
nice, there you go.
Yeah, there was kind of no rules there either. Then the place was open till 5 o'clock in the morning, kind of thing. So it was fun.
Yeah, I gotta take a trip up to Canada, man. I've never been, so
absolutely, especially old Montreal. It's beautiful.
Okay,
it's like you're parts of it. You're in 16th century France somewhere. It's gorgeous, right?
All right. Take a date up there.
Yes, absolutely.
So how was it growing up there besides, traveling up to Canada?
It was good. I mean, it kept us out of trouble, really.
Oh, really? Okay.
There weren't a lot of drugs, and, the worst drug I ever saw was marijuana back in the day. There was, in the winter, it was skiing. I think within an hour and a half from my house, there's probably about a dozen ski resorts.
Gotcha.
It's cold skiing, but they're skiing nonetheless, and we didn't care back then. We didn't, cold didn't bother us, right?
Right, yeah, you're used to it, right?
And there was ice fishing. In the summer, you got to play on the lake. Even in the winter, you get to play in the lake because you would race snowmobiles on the lake. You would drive cars on the lake. That's how thick the ice was, right? So
I feel like you could do that any age. You just like have fun with that.
Absolutely. But
did you guys ever like pull each other, like almost like you're water skiing?
Oh, absolutely. Behind the car.
Behind the car?
Yeah. Yeah. We tied up my friend Andrew West back home. I would always get him to use a ski rope. I'd tie it to the bumper of the car.
Yeah.
And he would put his skis on when there was snow. And every once in a while, I'd be dragging him down the road, the main road.
That's fun.
But every once in a while, we'd hit a bare patch, and his skis, the sparks would go flying, and it was a good time. I would aim for those things just to make them fly.
Oh yeah. Those are always fun.
anyway.
I mean, working with snow, like just it's always fun because it's padding, you know.
That's right. It's padding.
Right. That's great, man. So it seems like you were, I guess, like an outdoorsy type of person.
Well, if
I mean,
you
you
were
kinda
an
have to be,
outdoorsy
right?
person, there wasn't much else to do.
Yeah,
I mean, you could either
yeah.
stay in the house all the time, or because it just wasn't a lot of things there to do.
I mean, like when you're dealing with like outdoorsy people, especially when they're young kids and stuff like that, sometimes they get into trouble a lot, right? That kind of thing. Was that kind of you?
Getting into trouble?
Yeah.
Well, not into trouble like in a bad way.
Not like cops or anything like, but like with your
Yeah.
parents and stuff.
Oh yeah. We did that kind of stuff all the time. It was a lot of we're gonna dare you to do this kind of stuff.
Oh.
But we did it. We did it all the time. Diving off cliffs and riding on the hood of cars at high rates of speed and just doing dumb things, kid things.
Well, I mean,
Because we were invincible back then, you know.
yeah, of course. All kids are.
That's right.
I guess that kind of like action in your life kind of sets you up to. Do you feel like that took you like that created risk, like give that to take more risk in life?
You know, I've never really thought about it that way, but yeah, it seems like maybe it did. I've always been a risk taker.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm getting to an age now where I'm taking a lot less risks. But back in the day, absolutely, we would take risks all the time. And if something failed when you don't have anything, it doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
We don't live in a country where if you take on a little debt and you fail, they can't put you in jail. Like there are lots of places they can, you know, in the Middle East.
Sure.
So it's a bad idea to default on your debt, you know?
Yeah. So let's see what happened after. So high school was pretty much all good and stuff like that. And were you always like a working type of person?
I was always a working person. I had my first business when I was 16 years old.
Oh.
I worked on, despite the fact that our town was poor, we had a lot of high dollar money coming in through yachts. Yachts would anchor from Montreal. They'd come down to my town, and they'd sit there because it's the country to them, getting out of the city. And it was a nice place. But I worked on big yachts. I worked individually through certain owners, but I also farmed myself out for cleaning the decks, getting supplies ready. They'd come in for the weekend. I'd make sure they had groceries, whatever they needed.
Yeah.
Get the covers off all of the seats in all the different decks. But the boat was ready. When they stepped on it, it was clean, it was ready to go, and there was food. So
Interesting.
I started my first business doing that because there was nobody else to do it. I had zero competition, so that was kind of
Well,
cool.
you said the company that you worked for kind of did the same thing, or no?
Well, no, it was my company. I started
Oh,
a
okay.
company, and I worked for some people full time, but
Gotcha,
the other stuff was just odd jobs throughout the marina.
Gotcha.
And I did that for years. And
Yeah.
it was awesome. I mean, I made good money as a kid. you know.
I feel like you learn a lot
Oh, you learn a whole lot.
because you're dealing with like, people who have yachts.
That's right. That's right.
So, what made you want to start that?
Well, there were only so many places to work in my town, and I worked 1 year at the marina, and I said, this is kind of cool, but I was just pumping gas and then pumping out their poop tanks and everything else, and I said, that's okay. But I noticed an opportunity to work for one big yacht that we had out there. We had a big yacht with a heliport on top of it and everything, and I saw he had some illegal Canadians working there, and they shouldn't have been working in the U.S. So immigration took them away, and I watched them get escorted away, and I gave it about 10 minutes, and I walked up there, and I said, sir, I couldn't help but notice your entire team just got taken away, and I know you need somebody to help you. So
Wow.
I said, I'm not trying to rush you or anything, but I just want to give you my name and phone number, so when you need me, give me a call. And so he did, and I worked on that giant boat for a while, which was pretty cool.
Damn. See, that's where the risk comes in, man. You just like took a chance and went in. That's great.
I got lucky. I really got lucky.
Yeah, that's great, man. So how was it with the first like time you were working on that business, like the first client kind of thing? Was it nerve-wracking?
Well, it's nerve-wracking because I had to fake it till I knew exactly what I was doing. I had to pretend I knew what I was doing because I really didn't know how to take care of yachts, right? So I'm learning on the job, and they didn't pay a whole lot of money either. You know what I mean? It was not a big dollar operation by any stretch of the imagination, but I learned as I went, and every once in a while I'd get chewed out for doing something really wrong. And those
kind of things that you do.
Those people can really chew you out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Those people that get to that level. Yeah, they do a proper chewing. But
you remember something that you did that was like, ooh, shouldn't have done that?
Yeah, I remember one time they were eating dinner on the big boat. They were eating dinner. The family was eating dinner, and they had some really important clients that they had flown in, and they're all sitting having this nice dinner, and I'm outside cleaning the teak decks, and I'm holding on to the flag, and I guess I was putting a little too much pressure, but I heard this horrible rip, and this giant flag and I went both into the water.
Oh man!
And the only way back on the boat was I had to walk through the middle of their dinner party and dripping with water and everything, and so it was an embarrassing moment.
Ooh, man!
Somehow I managed to save the job. I didn't get set free, which was nice.
Oh, that's good.
I thought maybe that was the end.
Yeah. But anyway. Man, that's gotta be rough.
It was a rough.
Was it cold water too? Right?
Oh, it's freezing. Yeah. That water's always freezing. Even in the middle of summer, it doesn't get that warm. I mean, we were used to it, but
right. Man, that's wild. And then that business obviously grew, right?
Well, it grew until it was time for me to go to college, and then that was the end of that.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
but you said you had employees working with you, right?
Yeah, I had just a couple of people that would help me out, but it wasn't big or anything, and it wasn't, it was just the beginning. And it was when it became time for college, I just left that all behind.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had to find other ways to make some money.
Right. Well, that's a good first start, man. I mean, that entrepreneurial mindset, it was already there.
Right.
And I guess the whole risk with all the actions you've been through and the small town, not a lot of jobs probably and stuff like that.
Right. Not a lot of jobs at all. Right.
Yeah. So what happened in college? Did you just find a normal job or something?
In college, no. I found a way to make money selling tickets. I was like a ticket scalper. All right. Yeah. So I would go to events and I would buy tickets really cheap there. People were giving them away or selling them cheap. And I would turn around and flip them. And I just do that again and again. And what I learned there actually took me into when I went to dental school. I did that for state games, Carolina games, Duke games. I did it for concerts. Sometimes I'd do 3 games in a day. Yeah. But I kind of paid my way through dental school doing that.
Damn. I didn't know you got a lot of money.
I went to the Olympics and for, let's see, the Atlanta Olympics. It was a long time ago, but I went there and sold tickets there and found some other opportunities to make some money there. I bought raincoats when it was raining from the dollar store and sold those.
That's a good idea.
I bought a pin dealer, Olympic pin dealer. I had
What's
badges.
A pin dealer?
Olympic pins, little pins that you pin on.
I see. Yeah.
But the biggest thing I found there, and I still to this day, I think it's one of the most fun things and the most money I've ever made in a short period of time was at the Olympics. Everybody had a plastic badge holder. I mean, a ticket holder with a red, white, and blue rope around their neck. And I saw those things selling like this. I was like, I need a piece of that action. So I went over and I bought them from one of the guys who I think he probably paid 20 cents for them. Yeah. But he charged me $3 a piece. But I turned around and sold them for $5. Nice. And I did it once or twice. And then I finally found the supplier. So I ended up buying for 50 cents a piece. We were selling them for $5 a piece as fast as we could sell them.
Supplier meaning and then just
the supplier of the plastic sleeve. I found it in the city of Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
I went into the city, got crates of them, brought them back. And
damn.
And then too many people figured out what we were doing, so I had to set myself apart. there was a Olympic pin dealer going out of business. They were like, forget it, I'm done with this. So I bought the whole pin dealer, and I put a pin on every badge holder I had, and I kept selling them for more, and people were coming to me rather than going everywhere else. So I was taking home. It was an exhausting job because we're out in the Atlanta sun all day.
Oh, right.
In the middle of the summer, getting baked. But it was fun, man. I went from there to I bought sunscreen from the dollar store, and it started raining, so I went to the dollar store and got rain ponchos, started selling those. And it was just amazing. I went home with shoe boxes full of cash, and
That's nice, dude.
my wife came. She was coming from Raleigh. She said, I want you to meet me at this certain subway station.
Yeah.
And I said, do you know how much money that's going to cost me if I have to stop what I'm doing to go across town and meet you? And she got mad, but I said, come meet me at this particular station. You'll see me. And she said, how am I going to find you? I said, oh, you'll find me. So she got off the subway station, and I'm standing up on this concrete planter.
Yeah.
And there's people crowded around me trying to buy my stuff. And she walks up, and, I'm a poor dental student at this point. And,
Yeah.
she was like an admin, I think. And I hand her a wad of $100 bills. My hands were black from money. I was like, I'm so sick of money. I'm like, I'm ready to be done.
Wow.
I want to watch some Olympics now. And she's like, hell no. We're going to do this longer. She was amazed
Yeah.
what this money was. It's like
She started helping you.
thick rolls of money. Yeah. She started helping me for a little while, and I did as long as I could. I'm like, I'm done.
Damn.
I'm exhausted.
That's wild, dude.
Blistered feet, sunburnt,
Yeah.
black hands. But yeah.
I mean, I see people out there selling stuff like that, and I never would have thought that they could make a lot of money out of it.
It can be a lot
But
of
that
money.
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Especially like when it rains, you need an umbrella or poncho.
You just got to be quick on your feet. Be the first one to the poncho store.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's a dollar store right where I was selling everything. It was right there, so I'd go in and buy whatever I needed,
Nice.
and it was fun.
That's great. So you went to dental school, like?
Yes, I went in. I was an accountant first, accounting and finance,
Okay.
and I don't know why I chose that. My dad said, "Hey, you're really good in that." I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just kind of floundering as a high school student.
It was probably like the whole money thing, right?
I guess I was good at it, but I didn't like it. I went out and I did it. When I graduated from undergrad, I did it for like 9 years, and I got to a pretty good position with a big pharmaceutical business.
Yeah.
And I was doing really well, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I just said,
What was it about it that you didn't like?
it's just sitting in a cubicle all day.
Yeah, that's
It
rough.
just didn't like it. Crunching numbers in a cubicle and going back and forth to Research Triangle Park, it was just a drag.
Yeah. I feel like it's tough to go back to like an employee type of job when you made like as an
Yes.
entrepreneur, you need to make that money.
Yes, but it's, that was the next step
That's
in
what
my
society
life.
told you.
That's
to,
what
if you-
society told me to do.
Yeah.
So I was doing what society told me,
Yeah.
But it's, I got to a point where I was playing hockey at the time. I played as adult hockey league for years. And I keep getting my teeth smashed, and I go to my dentist, and my dentist was the coolest guy ever. And he played in a band, and he was just a good guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it, why didn't I do something like this for a living? This seems like a great living. And he said, it is. I said, I wish I had done that. He said, why don't you do it now?
What about it did you like?
Well, it's just dentistry when I was a kid was not high tech. And here all of a sudden there are blue lights that cure material. They cure them when you want them to cure. You put them in your tooth, get them exactly the way you want them. Then you hit them with a light and they turn hard instantly. It was just some high tech stuff he was introducing, which was very cool. He made great money. He didn't work on Fridays. He didn't work weekends or nights or anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess because he played in the band and everything too, that added to it.
Yeah.
And he was very chill.
Right. You could relate to him and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I just like, this is a good guy. I said it would be 6 years if I went back to dental school. 2 years of prereqs, 4 years of dental school. He said, Kyle, I could do 6 years standing in my head. So he goes, you'll be amazed at how fast 6 years goes by, and you'll be happy you did it. Mm-hmm. So eventually I pulled the trigger and got in. And
how long was that process before he talked to you about it?
It's a long process because I molded over seriously for about 2 years.
Oh, really?
And then the whole process of taking prerequisites that were, that I could take with my schedule. So I'm having to take, organic chemistries and physics and general chemistries and all that stuff during the day.
Yeah.
And work. And I did as long as I could working, and then I had to give up my job even. So that was a very stressful. I was just married at that point.
Ooh.
And I didn't want to disappoint my wife or her family or anybody else for that matter.
So you were was it like living expenses that you took a loan out and stuff?
Yeah, eventually we took a loan, but we just tried to go as far as we could through prereqs without having to stop my job. And then I stopped for a little while. And until I took the dental admission test, went through all that process, and finally got accepted at UNC Chapel Hill.
Oh, nice.
And
that's where I got my braces.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So it was a long haul, and but it really paid off. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. Nice. Did you have a lot of support from your wife through that process?
I did. She absolutely supported me, and
nice. I'm sure there was some tough times though.
Oh, really tough times.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't see each other at all. We went from being together all the time to, I'm working on dead bodies at 3:00 in the morning, and sometimes the only time she'd get to see me is when she'd come hang out.
Yeah.
When I'm working on dead bodies, so she had to get used to that.
Damn, that's weird.
The first year was just brutal. I mean, it's.
Do you actually work on dead bodies when you're?
Yeah, there's a room full of dead bodies,
and you work on the
cadavers,
teeth and
stuff? No, you're not working on the teeth. You're working on the muscles, and you're learning anatomy only. Oh, yeah, general gross anatomy.
Gotcha. Wow.
We did everything that the med students do in the first couple years. And then we have some dental stuff tacked on the top of it. So first few years of dental school, it's like going to prison. You don't see the light of day. You don't sleep.
Yeah.
It's kind of miserable. But,
but hey,
I'm still here.
Yeah. You made it through.
Yeah.
And then, so even on the weekends you were busy doing that stuff, right? It's not like yeah. It's not like I could go to the football games, and I went to some money or something,
one or two, and in the third and fourth year, I got pretty caught up, and I got to really be an amazing student, if you really want to know. And it's only because I learned how to take tests very, very well.
Was that later on in life?
But I never was a great student early on, and I became a great student, but it took a while, you know.
How was that process? Because I find myself still having problems taking tests and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I just don't know the best way to learn for myself.
It was just individual. Every professor had a different way he would give exams, but you really had to study what his first exam was all about. And once you've got that down, you could, if it was a multiple choice, you really, of 4 options, you could eliminate 2 right off the top so easily. It was just, so I really was picking one I had a 50-50 chance if I just guessed at this point.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of the professors it was easy to predict what they'd be asking, how they'd be asking it.
Yeah.
So.
All right, nice. Were you in bands?
Band?
Yeah.
No.
Just bands outside of school.
Oh, no.
Okay, cool.
No.
Because I heard you mention the dentist.
Oh yeah, he was playing it. Yeah, he played in the band, but I never did.
Yeah, because I was looking at your videos and stuff like that. I was like, you look like you used to be in bands, or, drive a Harley or something.
I think it's
like
the tattoos that threw you off, man. But no, I played saxophone when I was young, and I had one bad teacher, and that was the end. You know, and I hate that. I regret that I didn't stick with it. But that shows you one bad person. One bad teacher could throw you off, and who knows? Maybe I would have had a career with music. I doubt it.
Right.
I doubt it because I was not that good.
Hey, man, everybody needs a saxophone.
That's right. But still, he was mean. I mean, physically mean.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Smack you upside the head. And
Oh,
get that note right.
I'm pretty sure he'd be in jail if he was still teaching music now.
Yeah, right.
You couldn't whack people now,
Right.
you know.
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
could back then. You could give him a backhander. And,
yeah,
I got
that's
a
true.
few.
Yeah, that's kind of the same. I mean, I didn't have a mean teacher or anything like that, but you know, I played piano and I was like really good at it. You know, what
Really?
I mean? Classical music easily. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But like, I think the problem was that I never went to other genres. It was
Right.
always just classical, and then I just got bored and stopped.
Right,
Which I
right.
did. I wish I didn't stop. But,
Right.
you know, it's one of those things. But luckily,
You just
I
need to
picked
pick
up-
it back up.
Yeah, I mean, I picked up the drums and the bass and stuff like that. I was in bands of half my life and stuff like that, so it worked out. But,
Cool.
yeah, man. So let's see. Dentistry school, is that how you say it?
Dental school.
Dental
Yeah.
school. Okay.
Yep.
So you were getting out of that, right? Where how long, that 6-year process? Right?
Well, it's two for me. It was 2 years of prereqs.
Okay.
All those science classes. As an accountant, finance person, I've never had to take science classes.
Yeah.
Didn't even know if I could do well at them, but you know,
Eh?
I had to do really well coming in as an older student. You know, so
Something
it
else
was a
to
lot of
prove.
work, and then I also had to knock the dental admission test out of the park because, again, I'm competing against the best students, some of the best students in the entire country. You know, so
Damn. Was that like
it was a task that I wasn't sure I was going to make it, but
yeah.
I had told everybody I was going to do it. So I created pressure on myself on purpose.
Ooh,
I wanted people to call me out if I didn't make it.
interesting. Yeah.
I
Do you
did.
have people around you that do call you out like that?
Oh, absolutely. Always.
You think it's important?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm going down the wrong road, you tell me. You give me a hard time. And if I fail at something, it's okay to give me a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Because it's what motivates me to not hear that.
Yeah, that's true. Especially when you have like deadlines and stuff like that. Right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like sometimes, yeah. It's when you see friends like that, you want to call them out, right?
That's right.
It's important. For
And I wanted to prove there's a lot of people. I was working for a pretty good pharmaceutical company, and my parents and all my friends, all my relatives, like, oh my God, no one ever leaves that company. Once you get a job there, it's so good, you'll never leave. And I said, I think I'm going to leave. And they were like, you're crazy. You know, you are crazy. People would give anything to have that job, but I couldn't stand it. You know,
Yeah.
I needed to be happy doing what I was doing. I had no opportunity to be an entrepreneur here. I was just crunching numbers. And
Yeah. You didn't think about like starting your own business in that?
I could, but I was not a CPA. You know, I went down the wrong accounting path. I went into corporate accounting, and really, to me, to make the big bucks, I really should have been a CPA, because then you open up a whole different world of opportunities with consulting, and or you could have your own firm.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it. That was one of the problems that I was facing. I had to take a step back. I started to take the CPA exam, my past 2 parts, and I just said, why am I doing this? I can't even stand it. Like, I'm just memorizing it for the sake of getting through the exam, but I can't stand this work.
Yeah.
So I got to find something different.
Yeah. That makes sense. Right. And then you have to kind of like, it's almost like restarting your life at
Right.
that point. Right.
That's right.
And obviously I've had a few of those as well, but did you find the transitions hard for you
The transitions from what now?
from accounting to dentistry?
No, I didn't find the transition.
I guess it
hard
was
at
a
all.
little bit easier because you had to go to school for it.
I had
right?
6 years basically in between, you know?
Right.
So there wasn't, it's all I knew. By the time you graduate from dental school, all you know is teeth. I mean,
right.
that's all you think about all the time for 4 solid years. You can't escape, you know?
Yeah. You start looking at other people's teeth and stuff, just down the
big
street.
time.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That's funny. So you graduated from UNC, right?
Graduated, and, you know, I was one of the oldest students in the class.
Yeah.
Which was worrisome to me. You know, it's like, God, I'm getting a late start here. So that little bit of fear motivated the crap out of me, you know, and I hit the ground running. I bought a practice halfway through senior year of dental school.
What?
I knocked on doors of banks and I said, hey, can I have some money for a loan? I want to buy my own building and I want to build my own dental practice. And they basically looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
Until I went to First Citizens Bank and they said, yeah, I think we can do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
That's what my dad told me to do. He's like, if a bank says no, go to all the other ones.
Go to all of them.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's interesting.
Every one of them said no. This one guy, he says, yeah, I think we can do that. I'm just going, that's kind of crazy to me now. Thinking about that, because that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
That's not going to ever happen again. Really. Because
so with all those rejections, did you ever feel like, well, it's giving up?
Well, no, oh yes, 100%. I felt like giving up.
Yeah.
It's I'm not one of those guys that just like Colonel Sanders that, I don't know how many times he tried to sell his fried chicken recipe, like 1,000 times or something. No, that's not me. I can't go and get rejected day after day after day. I got rejected a little bit. There was probably 7 banks that said no. Finally, First Citizen said yes. And the funny thing is, down the road, those banks were after me like, hey, can you use us for your next dental practice you're buying? And I'm like,
really?
Nope.
Interesting.
I am absolutely loyal to First Citizens Bank. And so I've stuck with them,
Nice, man. Wow. Damn. So okay. So they said yes. How was that feeling for you?
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It's again,
Top of the world.
when it comes to all of the rules regarding payroll and employees and hiring and firing, I knew some of the stuff because I had been working a little bit, but there's a lot of things I didn't know. And your first business doing anything. I mean, I actually had a store, I had a shop, a dental office, a dental clinic. And to the first few months, trying to manage employees and making sure they're doing the right thing, and me doing dentistry and making sure everybody's on time and making sure I'm paying everybody enough. And
well, not just that, but
the stress of working on patients and pleasing them. And and all of your money, every dollar you get just goes back into the business instantly. There's no money for you for a long time. But I did it and I stuck with it. But we managed to get through, and I lost my whole staff at first. They all left almost within a couple of weeks because I went according to the information I got from my accountant, how much I should be paying them. And apparently it wasn't enough, and everybody else was paying more, so I lost them all.
Gotcha.
And it was a panic situation. I was having to answer my own front desk phone and then go work on the patient. I'd have to seat them in the waiting room and then work on them when I finally had time. But it was
how long was
it was panic time. I swear to God, I lost so much hair in my head at that point. It was a long process, but I would say 6 months until things kind of calmed down and we finally financially were able to pay people on time.
Gotcha.
And no, I think we always did it on time, but pay people on time without too much stress.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Like where you're
because we never knew where's that money going to come from.
Yeah.
And inevitably, some patient would come in and say, "Hey, I want to prepay for my next treatment." I'm just like, "Wow, how'd that happen?" And I'd take that money and I'd hand it over to the next hand, looking for the cash, waiting for me. I'm like, "Here you go." So we made it.
Yeah.
But
well, let's go back just a little bit. Okay. So when you bought that building, obviously it's an empty building, right?
No, I built it from the ground up. Yeah.
So all the equipment, everything
was brand new.
Did the loan cover all of that?
The loan covered barely enough for that. Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot of cash left over for marketing and everything else. So it was definitely a struggle at the beginning.
Dude, like that's nerve-wracking because that's a lot of responsibility.
Goodness. It was a lot. And what I was doing is I was moonlighting in Fayetteville, which was 99 miles each way. So I'd go there on 3 days a week, and it was literally like a school bus of children get dropped off, and I'd work on the whole bus full of children running from operatory to operatory, but I made great money. But all that money I made there, I'd take back and I'd have to dump it into this office. It was like a money pit at the beginning.
Yeah.
And
So like
it was touch and go there for a while, but it made it.
yeah, it did. So that means like your wife kind of helped you out and stuff like that. You guys were again supportive.
She helped. She supported me. She couldn't financially because she wasn't making much money.
Right.
But she supported me in that she took care of a lot of things that
like the bills and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. All of it.
Right.
All of it. Yeah. She took care of everything in the house. Yeah. I just said, I have zero time.
Damn. Yeah. That's commitment right there.
Yeah.
That's love right there.
Yes. Yes. I couldn't have done it without her, really.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I bet there was some hard talks throughout that process as well.
Yes, there was a lot of hard talks.
Yeah. So the business is at this point thriving, right?
Well,
after the 6 months.
Yeah, after 6 months, it started getting going pretty well, and after a year, for a while there, I was seeing some Medicaid patients. This is the interesting part. I was seeing some Medicaid patients at the office in Fayetteville, and I said, well. Nobody saw Medicaid at that time in dentistry because the reimbursement rates were so low. But it's good. There's a lot of good people. It's you're doing something for the community. So I said, maybe I should see a little bit of Medicaid just to help. I'll get practice. I'll make a little bit of money, and instead of watching TV, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I start seeing some Medicaid patients, and the News and Observer was like, "What?" They didn't understand why a doctor was seeing Medicaid. I mean, it was so, now everybody does. So not everybody, but a lot of dentists see Medicaid.
Right.
In small portions. But I said, well, the newspaper came, they interviewed me, and I said, it gives me something to do, keeps me busy. I make a little bit of money, and I'm doing some good things for good people.
Right.
Why wouldn't I do this?
Yeah. Everybody needs help with the teeth.
Well, word. I said, but here's the thing. I can't do this forever. I built this place to be a boutique-y little practice, and I want to sort of keep it that way. I want to keep it with no insurance whatsoever. It's
because I hear that's a hassle.
Right. Insurance is such a hassle.
Yeah.
But then my patients came to me and said, Dr. Roth, what are you going to do with us if you don't see Medicaid anymore? I said, I don't know. I'll think of something. So what I did is I opened a second practice. And I separated them. I kept the fee for service, no insurance patients one place, and I put all the insurance patients in another place.
Interesting.
And we did, I advertised for this practice. We were going to see Medicaid, and they're really from 100 miles around. Almost nobody took Medicaid. So we really didn't advertise much, but the word got out like wildfire. And by the day we opened, I had 2 doctors working 6 days a week, and they were slammed. And it was the most profitable practice I've ever had to date. I've had 36 practices, but this one was the most profitable ever. And nothing will ever beat it because it was just, we had no competition, no advertising expense. I bought used equipment and refurbished it all.
Nice.
And it was fantastic.
But what made you want to separate that?
Well, it's that office was meant to be a super high-end office, and it was tough to mix the crowd. Sometimes the crowds didn't mix so well in the waiting room. And a lot of things sort of disappeared. We'd put out fancy lotion and soaps and all kinds of, we had our own little Starbucks area.
Yeah.
When that Starbucks was brand new back then. I mean, it was just like, that shows you how long time ago it was, but it was new to this area. So we had our little Starbucks coffee, but it would all disappear. It'd get, by the end of the day, everything was gone. Yeah. Everything that wasn't bolted down was gone.
Damn.
So I said, maybe we need to separate this and run 2 different operations. But it was the best move I ever made.
Yeah.
And from there, it was, people saw what I was doing. They were like, hey, you want another one like that? And I said,
with the Medicaid?
Medicaid or just a little bit of everything.
Okay.
So I could go out to the rural areas. The next one was in a rural small town. and I opened it up to everything. You know, if you brought me a live chicken to trade for dental work, I would do it. You know, we did bartering, we did whatever, and we were slammed again. We hit a home run.
Nice.
And it got harder and harder as time went on because people started doing maybe a little bit of the same model. They were
picking up what you were doing.
Yeah, a little copycat stuff going on, but it's okay. I mean, it makes you be better when you've got competition.
Yeah, that's how the economy grows, really.
That's right. But it got a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So after that, we had all kinds of practices. Everything were high-end cosmetic practices. I had a mobile unit. I had all kinds of stuff all over the place, and pretty much all over the state of North Carolina. Never in the mountains, but other than that, we were everywhere.
Damn. So, wait, hold on. So, like, you had all these practices and stuff like that. So, at this point, are you still actually doing dental work?
Yeah. I had to slow it down a little bit. I was doing less days of actually dentistry on patients and more days of managing or mentoring or doing whatever it takes to keep the place running, and keep the place looking good.
Yeah. Because, like, at that point, you're putting out a lot of fires, I feel like.
It was a lot of work. We never owned more than 9 at one time. We were in a constant state of building up. And actually, I was a part-time professor at UNC Chapel Hill Dental School.
Oh.
My students would come to me and say, "Hey, if you have a job for me after I graduate?" And I'd say,
That's
"Well,
convenient.
depends on which town you want to go." And sometimes they'd say, "Hey, what about Sanford?" And we had a practice there. But they'd say Winston-Salem, and no, I don't have anything there, but I could buy something, and if you're willing to go in there when you graduate, and you can build it up, and if you ever want to have your own, we'll give you the best price ever on this practice, so you could buy it. Damn. So it's a win-win for both of us.
Yeah.
And we did that over and over and over again. That's why we never accumulated 36 at one time.
Yeah.
We only had 9 at the most, and it would go from 6 to 9 and back and forth. But we made great money when we'd sell too. So we'd buy a practice, and we may have $350,000 in the practice altogether.
Yeah.
And we built it up for 2 years, and then we'd sell it for $900,000, $1 million. Somewhere around, probably averaged $900,000.
Yeah.
But we'd peel one of those off every year or two.
Gotcha.
And buy some more.
Interesting. All right. So that's how you got into the.
We really we enjoyed that. And it became an obsession with making the offices look exactly the same as much as we could, given the building we were buying.
Sure.
We standardized everything.
That's good. One question. So all the practices, same name?
Yes, Carolina Dental Arts.
And then when you actually bought those buildings, is that a different name?
Yes, it's, back in the old days, it was usually the name of the man, I'd say, or woman, but there were not that many women dentists back then.
Right.
But the name of the doctor was on the, let's see, Jim Craig DDS or something,
Gotcha. Okay. So I didn't know.
And then we changed it eventually to Carolina Dental Arts.
Okay.
We'd renovate everything. Every time we'd renovate, we get the same equipment, pretty much the same everything.
Yeah.
Same construction people.
That's convenient.
Sometimes I'd buy it and I wouldn't see it again until the day we move in. And that was fun because they'd unveil it for me and they'd get to show off what they put in it and everything.
Yeah.
But it looked very consistent. Everything was very standard.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, because when people buy property, but they own a business, they want to buy that property under like a property management name kind of thing,
right.
So I wasn't sure if that's kind of what you did as well. Like that. So.
Everything was just in an LLC somewhere. The owner of the building itself is a separate LLC, but
Right. Man, those are big moves.
Well, it was fun.
Yeah.
It seemed fairly easy at the time. It got easier and easier,
Yeah.
The more you did it, it's just like, okay.
Yeah, it becomes routine then, right?
Yeah. I think the hardest thing is when, North Carolina Dental Board used to be really strict and they'd keep people out from everywhere. This is the good old boy network. And unfortunately, for some people like in they'd come from New York State. They'd come down and challenge the board. And they try to take the exam. These good old boys would say, "Nice try, son, but you're not quite making it this time.
Yeah.
Try again sometime." And so we didn't have any competition here.
Yeah.
We also kept all of the corporate giants out of here. All the Aspen Dentals and everything, they were not here. And there was no reciprocity with other states. Okay, so if you wanted to take to work in this state, you had to take the board exam here. But now it's open. You can be in Puerto Rico, and be in good standing, and come here and just take one little online exam, and if you pass that, open book exam even. If you pass that, you can be a dentist here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you have to do something every year to kind of renew?
Well, you have to take continuing education every year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I figured. Yeah. Something like that.
Yep.
Man, that's great, dude. At this point, you're kind of riding the wave, right?
Well, it's I'm really sort of out of the whole my dental practices. I'm managing a little bit. We've only got 4 left, but now I'm trying to take the brokerage company big.
Yeah, talk to me about that. Like, when did that start?
It started really like 20 years ago. I did it as a hobby.
Oh.
I did it as just for fun.
It started with those buildings that you made.
Well, no. I mean, it started. Yeah, of course, I was doing it on my own, but I didn't do it for other people. And
makes sense.
So I started doing it for other people, and the first one was super easy. And I said, "Wow, that's amazing." I mean, from the point where the old doctor wanted to sell, he signed the contract to the point where he closed. It was 13 days. And I said, "That's amazing." And I made, it was probably $60,000.
Are you?
And I thought it was going to be like that every time. And that was the only time ever.
Oh, really?
Ever.
Man.
So,
what is it? Just flipping contracts?
no, it's basically selling the goodwill of a dental practice. In other words, the patients.
Oh.
That the buyer is hoping that those patients will continue to come.
Gotcha.
The patients have been coming for 20, 30 years.
Under a different name.
They just changing the name of the dental practice.
Yeah.
Usually they allow you to use it for about a year, that name, and then you got to put it in your own name. But you're buying all the old equipment too. And you're just, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of contract work that needs to be done. You got to deal with attorneys and accountants and financial planners and all of that stuff, and tax people. But as I said, I did it first for a hobby, and then eventually one of my younger buddies was like, "Let's take this big. Let's make this bigger." So he went to work for me for a while.
Different name or still the same name?
No, it was EnCompass. Okay. So he's working for me, but then he competed with me. So he turned around, took all my paperwork, and basically made his own business. And I did not have a proper non-compete signed. So that was the end of that. I was real hesitant after that. I went back to a one-man operation. Another guy comes along, says, "Hey, let's blow this up." And I said, "Okay, I'm going to try this one more time." I'm very hesitant. I'm going to try it again.
Right.
But this time it really started blowing up bigger and bigger. And it wasn't until I found the right group of people that really wanted to take it big. A video team, social media team, marketing team.
Yeah.
And then since then, I've hired an entire marketing team in Albania. I've got Colombians working for me.
What is it? Just like video editing or something? Or
The
kind of marketing you do?
the marketing they're doing is email blasts.
Okay.
They do all of my social media.
Nice.
They reach out to dental students. They reach out to dental groups. They reach out to podcast groups. They keep everything moving. Everything that's needed, everything for marketing, they do from there.
Very nice.
From Tirana, Albania.
All over the world.
That's right. That's right.
So let me go back just a little bit. So it started blowing up, right?
Yep.
How were those first? Because you said the first one is pretty easy.
Yes.
Right, the first time you did it, and then the next few, did it started getting harder and harder?
Well, they're all so different from each other. lot of dentists are very type A personality, and it's not the easiest person to work with. They think they know what their practice is worth, and they may or may not be right. A lot of them are very chill too, and just very relaxed through the whole thing. But it's hard it's a high dollar, item. The average one sells for over $800,000 or more.
Yeah.
So it's a big ticket item, and there's a lot of, I don't know. When it comes down to just the last few dollars of negotiation, a lot of times it falls apart. And over nothing.
Yeah. A little.
That last $2,000, I've had so many dentists over the years just go, I'll eat this practice before I go down another $2,000. And sometimes that's exactly what happens. They eat the practice.
Right.
They, instead of being able to give some money to their kids, their grandkids, when they pass away, they got nothing. And they got an empty building that's with no patients in it because they closed down.
When that happens, do you feel like it was meant to be? Like maybe it's not a good...
No, I just feel like if I could have gotten through to them somehow, and I blame myself a lot of times. Like, should I have come across with a different angle? Should I have gotten somebody else involved? It's just that psychology. Like, I'm not going to be beat by this guy, and they're back and forth, and we've all done it at some point. Walked away from something that we wish maybe we had just paid those extra few bucks and gotten.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happens. It still happens a lot. But we're also competing with multi-billion-dollar companies, which makes it not so easy.
Right.
They've got some very, very deep pockets. The only thing that I like about that is they're very set in their ways, and everything they do is very, very old school. They're very passive advertising, where we're super active. We're in everyone's face all the time, whether they like it or not.
I feel like
guys.
Right. The bigger you get, right, when you're working with those billion-dollar companies, the harder it is for them to change. I feel like.
Oh, there's.
You know what I mean?
Yes, and that's one thing. When people come to work for me, they say, "Oh, how receptive are you to change?" I say, "Very. We can change instantly. We're small enough we can do that, yet we can still compete with the big guys." And it's just some simple things like a doctor wants me to go to Ogden, Utah tomorrow. I can get on a plane and go.
Right.
Whereas if somebody's working for the corporate giant, he might have to get approved from this level of management, and it's going to be, it could be weeks. Yeah, there's so much red tape. They just can't go.
Yeah.
We can make that decision and go wherever we want.
Yeah. That's great, man. So what, you're all over
the U.S.
All over the U.S.
Yeah,
Okay,
we haven't done anything in, we haven't done anything on Hawaii or Alaska. Okay. And I don't think we ever will.
Well, how do you pick your spots? Is it just people coming to you, or
people come to us? But they don't just come to us. Some of them just come because they've known about us for 20 years now. A lot of people never heard of us before. If you're looking in the swamps of the bayou of Louisiana,
right?
That guy selling his practice has never heard of us before. Sure. So someone's either referred us, and we have a lot of referral partners. We pay referral fees, or it's our marketing team doing some guerrilla marketing stuff. They've started all kinds of groups on Facebook, and they're in all of these groups. Either the ones they've started, they're in them, monitoring them, or they're sneaking around other groups and just seeing if there's people trying to sell on their own or any talk about sales of practices and everything. They get involved, and they tee it up for me so I can have that initial conversation with the doctor.
Nice. That's very good. Now, let's see. Do you take into consideration the location they're in? Is there like some type of, I want to ask some questions to make sure it's the right fit for me, that kind of thing.
Right. For us to even take it on?
Yeah.
Part of what I do probably wrong is I take everything because I feel bad for some of these dentists. And the perfect example I gave you was just that Louisiana bayou thing.
Yeah.
chances are when they describe the office, it hasn't been renovated since like 1987.
Right.
Old technology. It's a lot of these old offices. The doctors have been reluctant to do digital X-ray, so they still got a dark room and you're developing film.
What? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that still happens. It's unbelievable, but it still happens.
Yeah.
But I still feel bad for the doctor. He wants to sell. He wants to retire. And a lot of the brokers won't even take him on. They're like, yeah, we really can't. So we at least give it a try because no one else is going to.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I'm very specific. I'm like, this is going to be really a challenge. But we're going to do everything we can. If we sell it, we sell it, you know. And sometimes if they're close enough to me, I'll buy them. And I'll just make them an offer to say, look, I'll give you a cash offer. I know it's not what you want, but this is not what I want either. I don't want this dental office.
Yeah.
But I will take it and I'll renovate it and I'll make it new. And I'm trying to not do that, but I'll do it just to make it good for them.
Because like when it's an old practice like that, that means you have to pay more to renovate it and stuff like that.
Oh
right?
my goodness, yes. They don't even have computers. Some they're using colored pencils to. Yeah,
What?
it still happens. So,
Okay.
so I know it's going to cost me significant money. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, perhaps.
So you buy it for cheaper
So
at that point.
It has to be cheaper.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. Every time I make an offer, the doctor goes, "I'll take it. Goodbye." Poof, they're gone. And we never see them again. They're
With
so
the small
done.
ones? Are you talking about the small
They're
ones?
small ones. They're decent sized buildings, but they're just, as these guys get older, they're not taking insurance. Some of them, they're not advertising. A lot of their patient base is dying off. They've been with them for 30, 40 years, you know, and they're having a hard time reaching the young ones that have insurance, the ones that are seeing marketing, the ones that are seeing social media, website. They don't have any of those things. So they're invisible.
Yeah, if you don't catch up with the times, you know,
That's
you're going
right.
to be left out.
That's right.
Man, well, that's great that you actually are willing to change with the times and stuff like that. I feel like that's highly important.
Oh yes,
And you're just going to grow,
right,
just by having that thought.
And that's what we do. Honestly, we just declutter. We go in those offices. Sometimes I find stuff that was purchased in 1949 kind of things, and they just keep putting things away. They're not throwing anything away.
Any kind of vintage stuff?
Not like really cool stuff. Most of it's just old junk.
Gotcha.
I could tell a lot of them went to dental shows over the years and they bought something they thought they were going to use and they really didn't use it at all. And they just finally just out of sight, out of mind. I'm not going to look at this thing anymore.
Yeah.
So the first few days of going to these old offices is just cleaning, decluttering everything.
Yeah.
Every old plant, every do not smoke, do not do this, bad checks. And it takes a while, but they look beautiful when they're done.
Oh, I'm
sure. And immediately the patients go, holy cow, this place is beautiful. And then we do the websites and we start doing social media and the marketing machine we turn on. And, knock on wood, everything starts taking off.
Yeah. And is it just all going to junk at that point when you renovate? Yeah,
we can't even no one will take it even. We try to donate it and nobody wants it. It's, Gotcha. So unfortunately, the trash man or the recycle man comes and gets everything. And it goes away.
I guess I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe you could sell it to like Hollywood or somewhere where they need it for a prop.
For prop, yeah, maybe. Right.
Never hurts. That's great, dude. So that's basically what you're concentrating on right now, right?
Yes. Concentrating would be an understatement. I've got this thing in my mind where I think we can be the biggest in the country. And I know in my thick skull of mine that we can be the biggest in the country and nobody can convince me otherwise. So that's what we're going after. Nice. And I think we're going to get there. You know? I've got an amazing mentor in Canada. Nice. He's the biggest broker in all of Canada. And his name is Timothy Brown. And he's really shown me the ropes. He's been in this business since he was a kid. His grandfather started it.
Doing what you do?
Doing what I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's got a huge operation. He saw us on social media and he saw us doing all the social media stuff, filming everything, videos.
Yeah.
And he actually flew me to Toronto to speak to his people and light a fire under them.
Really?
So we went there and did that, and we've become good friends. And
Nice, man.
I'm actually going to see him Wednesday. I'm flying to Vancouver Dental Conference.
Oh, nice.
Which has nothing to do with what I do,
Right.
because I don't work in Canada, but I get to hang out with him and learn as much as I can.
Yeah.
Continue. It's my continuing education.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah,
Right.
that's always important. Especially, oh man, that's great. That's awesome, man. I feel like everybody needs like that kind of mentorship.
Oh, you
right?
need that. And he's so willing and giving to help me. So he's a good fellow.
Yeah. Is it like what kind of tips does he give you? Is it like more something specific, or is it something like money?
No,
tips, or-
it's everything. It's behavioral tips to the way you dress, the way you speak to a doctor, what you're willing to put up with from a doctor.
Yeah.
Pricing. It's everything. It's the whole thing. We have a good infrastructure doing what we're doing, but he's making our infrastructure just a little bit better.
Yeah.
All the time. You know.
Yeah.
And the more we listen to him, we're like, you know what? He told us this years ago. We should have done it then. I guess we'll do it now, and it works. Yeah. So it's a little old school, but it works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have
We have some of the modern stuff, right?
right. But when you can pick what works for you.
Right.
You know, that
That's
kind of
correct.
thing. So
That's right.
That's great, man. And yeah, that's great, because like you could take back and you just spread the word. Right.
Right. That's right.
So that's interesting. I'm gonna see. I like that. So is it just one mentorship that you have, or a mentor that you have?
I really have one mentor, and it's I wish I had several of them, but I don't. So anybody out there want to mentor me, that'd be great. Find me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Dr. Kyle Roth. Reach
Right.
out to me, please.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like the more people you have, the more you could take, right? So
100%.
is there something?
One of my friends she was always an amazing entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I watched her in action, and whenever she'd come into a building, she'd have an entourage of people with her. And she started as a dental hygienist, but she was just next level. I could just feel it. She would ooze success when she'd walk in.
Yeah.
But one of her mentors was Richard Branson.
Oh,
So
there you go.
that's one hell of a mentor.
Hell
you know?
yeah. I hear he's a nice guy too.
Yeah.
So with I feel like you might be in a position to mentor as well. Do you?
Well, and
anything
I
like that?
do. I do help some people that want to be helped. No, there's a lot of people that want to be helped. They say they do. Their words are, "I want to be helped," but they already know everything. They're 21 years old and they know everything already. You know, so for people who want to learn, and one in particular, my videographer.
Sure.
He's been with me for years now, and he actually listens and does things that that I ask him to do. I don't ask him to do it, but I suggest it. How about that?
Right.
And he makes a move. He makes changes, and he's a good kid, and I think he's going to do very, very well.
How do you pick people like that?
Well, I don't pick them.
They reach out to you?
Yeah, I met him at a car show, actually. He was taking photos and videos of cars at the car show, and I had some fun cars, and that's how we met. And we've stayed in touch since then. And
Gotcha.
And now he's part owner of my company. He owns
There you go.
10% of my company, and he went out on a limb and took a risk, and I think he's going to eventually get a huge reward from it. So
Nice. Yeah.
it should be good.
Yeah. I think it's when that risk is going to pay off, right?
Right.
Like especially like the more self-awareness that you have,
Right.
the more you know.
Right. Exactly.
Do you feel like a lot of this entrepreneurship and growing the business is a mental game?
Oh, 100%. It's it is a mental game in so many different aspects. There are so many days that I'm just done. Like I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then I'll just have one positive conversation with somebody or one good cup of coffee sometimes. and I'm awake again. I'm ready to go. And I'm like, yeah, let's get this.
Yeah. Do you make it a point to actually talk to somebody when you're in that point?
Yeah. Well, I don't intentionally reach out to somebody, but
Yeah.
I got friends calling me, friends in this business or friends in different businesses. Mm-hmm. I'll bend their ear a little bit, and I've got some good bunch of friends that are good listeners and offer suggestions.
Yeah.
And my wife's pretty good at that too. I kind of shelter her from some of the roughest stuff, but
Sure.
I do have a good friend group, and they almost always are able to help me through it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So you think that it's important to have a group of entrepreneurs, friends.
It's great to have friends that are successful. You know?
Yeah.
I love having friends that are more successful than me.
Yeah.
You know, there's some people are haters that you can just see them like not enjoying your success.
Sure.
But some people, I want my friends to be more successful than I am. That means I can learn some things from them. It means we can also travel. If they're making good money, we can travel. We can go on fun trips. We can do fun things together.
Yeah.
I want them all to be successful.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I?
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's important, man. Oh, man. That's exciting, man. That really gives me like a boost of energy.
Cool.
Doing all of this, you know what I mean? So
Yes, absolutely.
So is there anything else in the works?
Nothing too much in the works. Like I'm getting, I've got, I made 2 recent hires in Colombia. I was in Medellin
I saw a video
2
of
weeks
that.
ago, and I hired a great girl. I was trying to hire an executive admin locally, and I interviewed and talked to so many people, hundreds of resumes, and then I finally hired a girl, and I thought she was it, and she lasted about 1 day. She made about 5 phone calls, and she said, "Oh, I think this is too stressful. I don't know if I can do this." And I'm going, "Oh my God, you made 5 phone calls, too stressful?" So
Yeah.
I gave up, and somebody suggested a friend of a friend in Colombia. Called her up, and strong accent, but very bubbly, just a wonderful human. And as it turned out, a friend of mine was going to Colombia like a week ago, or a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, if I tag along. He was doing business there. So I was there for 3 days, and I met this girl and interviewed her. And I just said, I need to hire her right now. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
She was so excited to work. Even after we were talking on the phone, her accent was a little strong. She was like looking at videos and trying to figure out on her own how to reduce her accent. I didn't ask her to do any of those things.
Right.
It's so refreshing, you know.
It is,
and,
yeah. Took initiative.
And then, what she's asking per hour was amazingly good too. So there's that part of it.
Sure.
Because it's gotten so expensive here in this country to do it.
Yeah.
I'd rather hire locally, but if I can't, I'm going to find somebody somewhere
Yeah.
that'll work for me.
Right. Right.
And I hired another one last week, another girl from Medellin. So
Nice. Well, I mean, you're helping families, man.
I really enjoy that. It's, sometimes it's a project that doesn't work, and I do it a lot, but I get so much out of it.
Yeah.
Like if I can change one person, like make things just a little bit better for them.
Yeah. That's why I do this, man.
Right?
Like this is like it bonds us.
Okay.
But it also like motivates both of us to
Right.
keep going.
That's
and stuff
right.
like that,
That's
you know what I
right.
mean?
That's
Like,
right.
Keep it going and stuff like that. So that's great that you're doing that kind of thing.
All right. Thank you.
I think that's important. So I appreciate you coming through.
Appreciate it.
And do you want to tell everybody where they can reach you and stuff like that?
Yeah, I guess everybody can reach me. I am on Instagram a lot. It's Dr. Kyle Roth, DrKyleRoth. There's no dot or anything in there. We're on Facebook. I think it's just Kyle Roth on there, but you'll recognize it. Should I have a barcode or something I can put up on the screen later, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
But yeah, and my phone number. So do the phone number or no?
that's up to you.
Okay, I can do the phone number. That's 919-395-0444. Our website is www.encompass-ihc. That's integratedhealthcare.com. You can look at our website there and from there you should be able to find everything.
Nice.
Or even on TikTok now, but I don't even know what our username is on there. But
Right. Well, they'll find it.
They'll find it. Yeah.
All right. That's it, man.
Anyway, we done?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
Yep.
How do you think it went?
I think it went great.
You think it went good?
Yeah,
All right,
I loved
good.
it, man.
Good.
How
good.
about you? What
Yeah, it felt good.
Yeah. Okay.
You made it easy. You asked good probing questions. And, Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's easy.
yeah, I like it too because I get to pick people's brains. You know what I mean? It's fun.
But
It's
you're
fun for
right.
me.
It's these Colombians I'm so excited about because it's just the girl brought me to her house, and she goes, "My house is that mountain is my mountain." She said,
What was it? That video that I saw? Is that her house?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she brought me to her house, and it's way up there. I mean, it's probably pretty close to 10,000 feet up,
Damn.
overlooking the city of Medellin.
Yeah.
And you go through there's 7 levels of wealth in Colombia.
Okay.
And you go by some level 1, which is they're basically living in trash. There's no doors, no windows.
They're actually classified that way?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
And people in level 1 do not marry into level 2. You stay in your class pretty much forever.
Interesting. What class is she in?
She was in 3.
Okay.
So I went up to, and she actually had a house, but it's old concrete, kind of broken up,
Yep.
plastic on a lot of her windows.
Yeah, for the cold.
Yeah, no air conditioning. Just their way of air conditioning is you open the plastic window.
Right.
To go upstairs, we had to put some boards to go
Really?
upstairs.
Damn.
Yeah, boards down and climb up there. But she was so happy. There was no Amazon bullshit in there. No nothing.
Yeah.
Like, when you look here, you see a gazillion things. Of course, this is your work, but
Sure.
there's nothing. There's
Right.
a coffee maker and a little stove and a little refrigerator and a bed and a couch
Yeah.
and a couple of dogs and literally nothing else.
Damn.
A little laptop. There was a little laptop there. And
So seeing that.
but just as happy as could be.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah. Because, yeah.
You don't know what you're missing.
I mean, that view helps. That's for sure.
Oh, the view. Honestly, the view was amazing. I'm sitting out there going, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about on the edge of the mountain in America, overlooking Medellin, you would have rich people
Yeah.
because the view is gorgeous. But there, the poor people all live on the edge of the mountain. And from where she is, she'd go to her window, and I said, so there's a place called Comuna 13, which is where, what's his name? The gangster there.
Pablo Escobar.
Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
He used to hire all his killers from there.
Okay.
And during the shows, you see he's in that neighborhood, but super poor. But you could see it from her place. He points right there.
Oh, yeah?
Dang. You could see like the top of the buildings, and no windows, and the buildings are on top of each other, just stacked everywhere. And there's road signs and making part of the wall, and garbage everywhere. And
You know what I heard is that they never really complete. I don't know where this is. Maybe Colombia, maybe somewhere else. But they don't complete the house. They leave it like under construction. Look, right?
Yes.
So they don't have to pay property taxes on it.
Oh, is that right?
Right.
Oh, okay.
That's what I heard. I don't know if it's in Colombia or not, but
I saw that in Albania a lot. It's like there's still rods like they're good on the top with concrete and the rebar sticking up, like they're going to build another level.
Right.
And I was like, why do they do that?
Yeah. And that's what I heard.
That
Property tax.
That might be smart.